Hi, this is Dr. Aaron Perlett with the American Mustache Institute here for another Mustache Talk. Today we are joined by, you tell me, who the hell are you?
My name is Lincoln Durham. I'm a one-man band musician, and yeah, I kind of do I call it a Southern Gothic psycho blues revival punk, if that explains it. And I traverse the world, kind of yelling at people, really.
That's exceptionally clear. So people might not know this, but you were somewhat of a child prodigy. You were a Texas State youth fiddle champion at 10. What does someone receive for such an honor? Maybe a golden fiddle or a trophy or a lifetime tab at Waffle House, something like that?
It's not as prestigious, really, as it sounds. But yeah, I did win. I won once, and I grew up playing the fiddle when I was a kid. And yeah, you win a trophy, and it does have a golden fiddle on it. And what else? I won some money. I wouldn't know how much, but I did win some money. And I was, I don't know. Yeah, I was a kid, so I mean, any bit was pretty cool. But that was about it. And those things they'd be out like in the country, somewhere. So wasn't really like, you didn't feel like a king or anything doing that, but it was still fun. I hated it, to be honest. I hated it. I hated the whole competition end of it. I didn't like that with music, so I would work myself up into just being miserable at those things. But I did it, and it taught me a lot.
Talk about your musical influences outside of, say, Gordon Lightfoot and Bread.
Well, I'm a huge Nick Cave fan. Mm-hmm. So Nick Cave is and Tom Waits both are kind of my kings when it comes to influences. Although maybe Nick Cave more or Tom Waits more, you would hear some of his influence maybe in my stuff. I don't think anyone would really gather any Nick Cave from my music, but that is definitely. Right now, what influences it the most? It's always kind of been a dark, edgy kind of music. A lot about mental illness, stuff that I'm going through. That's just kind of a heavier music. And then like when I was a kid, I played the fiddle. Never really took to the fiddle because it was handed to me. And then it was I was a kid of the '90s, and so. About at that influential age is when, the grunge scene started, and Nirvana was what made me originally want to pick up a guitar. So early influences was that kind of stuff, that 90s rock, was big into punk, was some of the early influences on me. And then as of late, I got into, stuff like, the past 10, 15 years, it was Nick Cave and Tom Waits. And so all that kind of culminated into, what mess I do now.
But not Air Supply.
Not Air Supply so much, no. The early years, a little bit, maybe.
That's a little disappointing. How do you feel about Hall & Oates or even the Doodletown Pipers? Find anything you like there?
I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't even be able to tell you a song of Hall & Oates. I have a friend that's a really good big fan of Hall & Oates, and I swear to God I couldn't tell you a song.
We'll forgive you. So I've personally seen your show, and you put on a really tremendous show, and it's fascinating to watch you. And as you mentioned, it's really just you. Do you think of yourself as a guitar player who plays drums, a drummer who plays guitar, a suitcase player who also plays guitar and drums, all the above, none of the above? And do pork products in any way fit into your skill set?
Do what products?
Pork products, pork byproducts, bacon, sausage.
Oh, I have a pomade that smells like bacon. Does that count?
+4 right there.
That's true. It's almost too much, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think I consider myself as a singer that kind of plays the guitar and definitely barely plays the drums. I would love to be a guitarist. I think I fell into kind of my style, but I can only play in the parameters of my style. Each thing, really, to be honest, except for maybe the vocals, because the vocals early on, when I was a kid, I was good at. I could do. I can't anymore, but I could kind of do impressions of people. So I had a bit of a vocal range at the time, not so much anymore, but that I could kind of say, if I'm something, I'm a vocalist. The guitar I figured out how to make it work for me and do that. So I can't be that sit-in guy. So if you were to say, hey, come sit in and play a song, it would sound awful probably, because I'd have no idea what I was doing. And drums, that's essentially, that's kind of expanded into insanity down there, because I stand up. For those that don't, no one knows what I do, but for those that don't, I stand up in front of this thing. So I've rigged it over the years so I can do all of it with one foot. So I kind of balance on one foot, and then I do all the percussion of different things at my feet with the other foot. And, so I guess that kind of has developed into somewhat of a skill set. But as far as actually being a drummer, God, I can't keep time for anything. I think when I start a song, it ends up double time pretty much every song.
So, not a question, but thank you for not using that self-indulgent loop station.
No, I can't do that. I won't be the guy that says, that demeans it, I guess, because if you put one in front of me, I couldn't work it or couldn't do it, and then we'd probably realize, wow, this is, this is a difficult thing. This takes a skill set too. But it's not for me. I just like the analog. Whatever I'm hitting at the time is what makes the sound. It's just, I think for me, the way I look at it, like I said, I think if I see some people doing that stuff, and it does look impressive as far as like keeping, I guess, maybe track of all that. But for me, when I'm doing it, I think the more impressive is how much noise can you make, in the true sense of the world, I guess, so that when I'm stomping on something, it's hitting the drum kind of a thing, because I do think I could thicken my tone. That it's always been about how much can I sound like a band with one person. But if I were to ever add something like that, that seems to kind of take away the whole goal of one guy being able to sound like an entire band, because at that point, then you're reproducing something that is playing on its own. And that's where I have the problem with what I want to do, because I'm even okay, like if you were to hit a keyboard, a keyboard technically is a digital version of a piano, so there's no actual hammer hitting a string when you hit a key, but it's because of your finger hitting that key, it's triggering that thing, so even those people that use, like, say a digital drum set, so he's hitting the drum and it's really just hitting a plastic pad, but it's sounding like a snare. That I don't have a moral problem with, But when you hit something and then it continues to make a song, that's not for me.
It would almost, from what I've seen, kind of cheapen the expectation of a Lincoln Durham experience to a degree, and it kind of reminds me somewhat of in the documentary Might Get Loud, the comparative between Jack White and the Edge, where the Edge is always looking for kind of a technological edge. Right. And Jack White is simply looking to make a sound out of a can or something unique.
Yeah, I do completely agree with that. It's there's really, I guess, no right or wrong way, and to each his own. But my path would be that Jack White way. I think the interesting things are come from real space, and not from the digital end. So I for me, that's what I always say. Just coming from my standpoint, that's just not my cup of tea. I'll always do it analog because I think that's more. I don't want to say because it's kind of cocky to say, but I just think it's more impressive if you can make as much noise without the aid of something that's made to sound like a full band. Yeah.
Let's diverge a little bit and talk mustache. I've seen older, far weaker photos of you with only sideburns. I've seen you, I've seen you with
those are all.
I've seen you with a beard. I've seen you with just a mustache. It seems your facial hair journey is an evolving one. Why is that?
I'm easily bored with things, especially with my looks, but with where I live or even my music itself. I think everything for me, again, just kind of like the analog versus looping thing. It's just what I feel was right on my path, is to never stop, trying to evolve, and even if that means devolving a bit, So yeah, I get bored with what I look at in the mirror, So I don't feel like I constantly change stuff, because I do get easily, I guess, because I get bored and think, I've had this for forever. But then I look back at old pictures, and there's been several incarnations. Man, I used to have I still have the curl. I used to have the big, giant, waxed curls, and yeah, just the mustache, and then a full beard. I had a really long beard at a time,
Well,
thinking about doing it again.
I can certainly relate. As of last night, I had an entire afro, very much like Coolidge from The White Shadows. So I changed. Yes. I get bored, so I understand.
Absolutely.
I want to do a little true and false with you. So I'm going to read you a statement, and you tell me if it's true or false.
Okay.
Each time a mustache is shaved, an angel in heaven dies and falls to earth.
True.
That is true. It was written in the Dead Sea Scrolls and has been referenced in Leviticus. Next question. The Barenaked Ladies are a talented band.
I don't know much about the Barenaked Ladies. God damn, I don't know. Let's go true.
That would be false. They're terrible.
I don't know anything about the Barenaked Ladies.
And that's a good thing. That means you have credibility. It's much like not using the loop station.
So I figured I should go on the side of not hating, in case they were amazing.
Fair enough. Next question. The Gateway Arch in St. Louis is the world's largest mustache, and the Washington Monument is the world's largest erection.
I agree with that. Yeah, I'm going to say true.
That would be true. I once met Richard Simmons.
Ooh. False.
That is true, actually. I once met him in a Walgreens. Next question. A mustached American can experience an orgasm lasting up to 27 minutes.
Oh, that's true. I know that for a fact.
That is true. Next question. Rod Stewart once played real music when he was fronting the Faces in the late 60s.
True.
That is true. Last question. My father's first sexual experience was with a prostitute in Kankakee, Illinois.
That sounds true.
And you would be correct at that. Okay.
Didn't do so bad, right?
Has to be done. Tell us one thing about you that might surprise people, whether it's people of mustached American descent or even the barefaced mortal community. But tell us one thing about you, Lincoln, that might surprise people.
God, there's a few things that I probably wouldn't want to say.
Then definitely say them right now.
That would surprise me because of the music that I play and my the type of music that influences me and inspires me. Most people find it a shock that I'm a fairly decent Lady Gaga fan.
I was reading there was a great interview with Sturgill Simpson at Rolling Stone a couple months ago where he talked about his influences, and the person he said he's listened to the most right now is Frank Ocean. So,
well, there you go.
Yeah. Couple more questions here, and we'll get you out of here.
Oh, here's another one. Here's another one for you that people might find. If you go to a convenience store and you buy a bag of Cheetos, there's a good chance at one time or another I drew that Chester Cheetah.
Really? That's impressive. Okay.
I used to work for an advertising agency before. I always did the music, but they allowed me for a long time to work at the agency and then just take these long leaves of absence to go tour. And one of the clients we had was Frito-Lay, and I was the because I do illustrations a lot. I do my own illustrations for my music. And yeah, so I was the Chester Cheetah guy, and they only allow like 1 or 2 people to draw it. So any Chester that came through, I drew it. So the only ones that you won't see or that aren't mine are ones that were done, like years ago, prior to me ever getting it.
Not only great artwork, but delicious with beer and bourbon all at the same time.
Yeah, it's been a while to be honest, but since I've had any. Now I did one where they had like it had mac and cheese inside of the Cheeto. I don't even know how to comprehend that.
I believe I can speak for the entire mustached American community when I would say that sounds remarkably delicious. So
it looked good. It looked
and bacon even better.
I made it look nice and good.
I'm sure you did. So, reflecting on your show afterwards, you and I, sporting our sexually dynamic facial hair in the forefront, we took a photo with a barefaced mortal named Vijay Rao, and I'm curious, did you pity him? Because I certainly did.
Of course I do, yeah.
Sure.
I pity them, and I especially pity the ones that I know probably couldn't do it, even if they wanted to.
There is people who suffer from bold, bare upper lip disorder. It impacts 1 in every 17.8 Americans and leads to signs of depression. And I think that might be, you were talking about mental illness and how your songs are about that. You might want to pen a song about bare upper lip disorder.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, you're welcome. So let me get you out of here on this. Tell us what's next. I know right now you've got a relatively new record out and you've been touring in support of that, but what's going on now for you and what's next? What should people look out for and where can they find you online?
Okay, I'm immediately back to work at home. So we got back. You saw me in St. Louis. That was the second half of the tour, and so we just got off of that tour, and I'm immediately starting a new record. So that's the exciting part about what's going on this summer is I'm recording the next record and probably. I don't have a date or anything, but we're shooting for like the fall or winter release. And so that's what the most of the summer is going to be spent on, is doing that. And then we're going to try to do another nationwide tour in, early or late fall. So yeah, and then we're going to do some, we're planning at least to release some videos along with it. So we've got like, not so much touring for the summer, but a lot of creative work to do, over the summer. And so, yeah, I would watch out for, announcements for a new album, videos, and a possible fall tour. And you can see all that on any of the social media stuff. It's just Lincoln Durham, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff.
Very good. Lincoln Durham, thanks for participating in this mustache chat with the American Mustache Institute.
Absolutely.
We wish you the best, and we will definitely keep our eyes out for what's next.
Yeah, stay thick and waxed.
Thick and waxed.